A fire that destroyed millions of dollars worth of city property is being blamed on electric bikes. Now, fortunately, nobody was hurt, but I'm going to believe that this small city is going to think twice before their next e-bike purchase. So is the blame warranted? Were these electric bikes actually being misused? And will the effects of this fire spread to a municipality near you? I can answer at least one of those with a confident yes. So let's take a look. Our story begins in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, the gateway to the Idaho Panhandle. Crime has been on a decline in the city. That's not without the vigilant efforts of the local police. They're gearing up for even more advanced methods, including embracing newfangled technology like electric bicycles. Now, their goal is to reduce response time and catching criminals and, quote, throwing their butts in jail. Now, the city was actually emboldened when a successful task force that was recently organized came to the community engagement in downtown. And with the bright idea of electric bikes, it could only get better, right? The city has a reputation to maintain because the locals find it safe enough to leave their doors unlocked. So the police have a very important job to do. So I'm not being facetious. There's actually more to it than just apprehending crusty jugglers. Crusty jugglers. There is indeed a possible threat looming on Little Coeur d'Alene. Just 2 years ago, what's described as a hate group called the Patriot Front was arrested in Coeur d'Alene when they all piled up into a U-Haul and were subsequently hauled to jail for intent to incite a riot. Small cities that are adjacent to rural areas sometimes have contact with extremist groups. If any of you remember Ruby Ridge, that incident was also in northern Idaho. So yeah, the local police are certainly worried about responding fast, and with limited staff and resources available, they gotta make the best of it. So they bought 6 electric bikes back in March. Quote, police received a Justice Assistance Grant, by the way, that's going to be really important, of $31,770 to purchase 6 electric bikes and related equipment. So holy moly, that's some expensive bikes. That's like $5,295 each. Now, the bikes clearly come from policepowerbikes.com, which is a subset of a brand called Recon Power Bikes. The real kicker is actually in their certification. Now, they list the specs for the 2025 model year, and I assume that's for the 2024 that they got just recently. It says, quote, fully certified to the ANSI CAN UL 2849 standards for safety and electrical systems for e-bikes and UL 2271 testing for batteries used in light electric vehicles. Now, I realize that this certification costs money, but I'm starting to wonder how effective the certification really is. Now, as far as I know, the police bikes were doing fine until recently on June 10th, when the fire broke out. Now again, fortunately, nobody was hurt, and it appears that no one was even inside the building. The building itself seems to be a small office and storage facility, which groups together animal control department, the IT department, and storage for motorcycles, a SWAT van, and those 6 electric bikes. At the 5 a.m. hour, the fire was reported, and 30 responders, and 4 hours later, the blaze was totally gone. And everything in the facility. The total damage was estimated to be, quote, in the millions. The fire marshal for the state of Idaho got involved, and local news said that the investigation concluded, quote, one of the batteries on the department's recently acquired e-bikes clearly showed evidence of a catastrophic failure. The bike was being charged after being used that evening by police. So after this, we're going to open up into my personal commentary, and I just have a general feeling of regret over this story, or maybe lament is more precise. I think that municipalities, small and large, are going to impose new safety standards when using government-procured electric bikes. Now, will this exist for your bike and your personal use? I'll get to that in a minute. But since these were reportedly the first bikes that were bought with federal money, I worry that federal investigators will get involved and start swinging around big rules for future e-bike purchases. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room. I mean, kind of. More like we got to cross a T or dot an I. Did these electric bikes cause the multi-million-dollar fire at the facility? Yeah, it sure looks like it does. I mean, the fire marshal said it themselves, and there's really no going past that. Even if they were lying, there's really no way to get past that from a legal sense. But we can follow the trail downhill and see how far it rolls. The insurance company that covers this facility is going to be looking into the department for misuse, of which I don't think they're going to find anything. The bike, or bikes, appear to be left charging overnight, and while I personally don't do that, it does seem to align with the training that the department had received. The next choice down the line is going to be the bicycle company, Police Power or Recon Power Bikes. I'm sure they're already dealing with this as we speak, but I'm curious how the safety certification will come into play. Now, I'm not really familiar with this part of the law, but I'm going to wonder if the bike company is going to say, hey, yo, we got it certified, so we did everything we could. Don't blame us, right? But then again, these credentials are going to be under a lot of scrutiny, and I have no reason to suspect this. I'm just estimating right now. I think that if these safety tests wind up being phony, then either the safety testing company or perhaps Recon could have some hot water to go around. I think that this news story has important implications for government-purchased electric bikes. I don't think e-bikes are going anywhere anytime soon, and the government is going to have to make up some way of reconciling the department need with the combination of risk factors. Now, my crystal ball tells me that strict safety testing and hyper-cautious training procedures will be incoming very soon for government entity-acquired e-bikes. Now, this will be levied against insurance companies that cover the organizations, and if that sounds really expensive, it is. That $5,000 e-bike that I criticized earlier could very well balloon up to $10,000 or more, since the selling company, they have to jump through perhaps years of paperwork just to begin selling bikes in the first place. And from the bicycle company's perspective, that's a huge upfront barrier to try to cross, and you're not going to make that up by selling lifestyle stuff like stickers or whatever. The government entity's just going to buy the bikes and then they're going to stop, and then hopefully spread that to other places. So yeah, it is just business. I get it. They're expensive. It's the way it is. It's government. So what's going to happen to the average e-bike rider as a result of this news story? Not a whole lot yet. I mean, let's be perfectly frank, since this story is not tragic enough or involving like Tom Cruise or something, the general public really doesn't care. The fire that totally upended the police department in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in 2024, it's just going to go into some bin on the internet until a larger accumulative story about lithium fires comes into the spotlight. Fact of the matter is that focusing in on electric bikes as a peculiar risk of fire is misleading. And there's a bunch of other daily things that have a ton of risk attached to them that we just don't care about. Water heaters, swimming pools, attacks by dogs. Actually, gasoline-powered cars catch fire more often than electric-powered cars, but nobody seems to care about that. With electric bike batteries, there's actually an easy and very attainable way that your average rider can mitigate the risk of fire. Let me know if you want to see a video on that topic, or you can check out this video on the federal government trying to make rules on electric bicycles. I'm Mikey for Blue Monkey Bicycles, and I will see you on the later.